There is an incompatibility between the flesh, the fallen flesh that sin has activated, to make that anytime a human becomes conscious in his human body, he will lose all his memory of his eternal reality. So there will be books waiting for him inside time. So he says, lo, I come in the volume of books. The volume of books will equip you, remind you of the things they told you when you were a spirit in the union of God. But when you enter the flesh will absorb all of those memory you used to have. The flesh will want you to only be conscious of the things that are in the tangent of the physical world. So the most spiritual being will have to start learning again. So Jesus will have to be with scholars and teachers of the law in the temple, learning and asking questions. Emphasis on learning in this particular talk. I know we all believe that Jesus, being Son of God, came. From day one, he always knew exactly why he was here. I will tell you when he knew why he was here. In fact, he was living his life normally as the son of a carpenter. So much so that the day his manifestation came, the people who grew up with him were angry because they say, is this not the son of the carpenter? Don't we know his sisters? They knew him when he grew up with them as a youth. He went to another city and came back as a man of God. Who are you? We know you. Then the only thing they know about him is that he's a child of a carpenter. Haven't you read in the Bible? I will tell you when he knew the mission completely. Just like you now, you don't know the absolute vision concerning why you are in time. And you too, you must download it. You must press to know his will for your life. And it was Elijah and Moses that came to tell him what he must do to finish his work. If you are a student of the scripture, you will know that it was from then that a weight came upon him. He began to ask Peter, James and John to come with him again. Come and tarry with me. A burden has entered. He didn't know the full scope, because there is an infirmity in the flesh that makes that men, when they arrive time, they will not have memory of what they were before time began. If it is a possibility, all of you here will know what God spoke concerning you. You will still remember when the angels were dancing around you in the corridors of heaven. But when you start growing, the only reality you remember are the things around the physical world. And so it will require spiritual interaction to remind him, this is why you came. The burden came upon him. Time and time again, he will call the disciples and say, tarry with me. Tarry with me. What was he trying to build? He was trying to build prayer power. He knows that if he goes to the cross with emotion will not be strong. The kind of pain and the level of spiritual test he will be subjected to if he does not build capacity in prayer, he himself will turn back on his mission. So he says, tarry with me. He prayed until his sweat became as thick as blood. And the groaning inside there is to show you what he was praying about. He was saying, if it is possible, let this cup that I have found out, let it pass from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. On a day like this, some 2,000 years ago, he was buried quietly. The shadows of death had swallowed him up. The full weight of death had encapsulated him. And the whole city was thrown into silence. His disciples felt, a surge of shame. All the things they believed has now been casted to the ground. As I speak to you right now, the quietness is only on this side of the kingdom. On the other side, the regions beyond the grave, by the doors of Hades, it was a court session going on. Somebody has entered the underworld, that when death came as usual to claim a soul, only to find out that there is no sin, no single sin in the soul. And so they began to try to find a way to adjust this irregularity. It is only the wages of sin that should be death. How comes a man who has no sin now die? Just like that corn of wheat. that was cast to the ground. And after a few days, you will come and meet something has germinated from the ground. It was a mystery hidden in the physical creation that the princes didn't know. That even men too are seeds. That if you plant a man, he can rise again. He wanted to reach people beyond time. All those who died with a hope of his appearing. From Papa Abraham. The best they could do for Abraham was to give him an estate in Hades. So they named a region the bosom of Abraham. But it was still in the underworld. Because none could ascend the hill of the Lord. Only the righteousness of God can qualify men. And the best of the righteousness of all times is a filthy rag. His witness is not only for time. His witness is also for the afterworld. So he went to communicate the glorious gospel to those who sleep. Noah, Jonah, they all were waiting. They knew that one day one will come here too. We had the chance to fellowship with him for 33 years and a half. They have been waiting for him for eons, unending. They just want him, and he only spent 3 days with them. And on the third day, he took them all out of that zone. I'm trying to share something tonight. Because for many of us, when we consecrate seasons like this, you think, we just tell. It's not a story. It is the focal point of life itself. This is what our redemption is tied around.